What's going on, Internet Pope? Yeah, it's me again. We were John C. Roseman, California. It's about 2:19 in the afternoon. It's still Thursday, the 5th of October, 2023. Did a nice, drafty, long letter to a professor. I'm hoping that he can understand something that I heard his remarks on MSNBC, and I quite agree with him what he was talking about. I just wish I had him for a professor over at Antelope Valley College. I could have said it to him. I wish I could have. And maybe if I send this one over to him, maybe he can understand it as well. There was a lot of things I was going over in my past on this one, guys. And it really opened up a lot of things to me. Being living in a time where I'd seen so much, how do you pick and choose? He was worried about democracy falling apart. He's right. He's right about that. We had that happening in 1860, all the way through 1864, and we had to rebuild it again. What scares me is we're going to be going into something. I don't know how we're going to be able to transform it into another combative situation here, where we're going to have to fight each other concerning about our viewpoints, but then try to rebuild it again. But the problem is we have never got it rebuilt. I'm sorry, we haven't. The thing it was I kept noticing about humanity, and I wish I could have explained this to the professor. As I said before, I'll probably send this over to him anyway. Let me shift. Excuse me for a second. Damn it. Remind me next time when I do videos, have my cane next to me. God. Yeah. Oh, God, my God. Okay, here we go. Give me a second. I'm going to. Here we go. Never leave home without the damn thing. Anyway, I wanted to tell the professor what the hell was going on and how I was doing things. Oh, God, I'm an old for it. I wanted to explain to him what was going on, what my viewpoints were like concerning about our politicians and democracy screwing up left and right. And if we are going to be getting into another situation, we're going to be due for another. We're going to be doing for another riot. But this time, what scares me, what scares the hell out of me is seeing my little pocket of Roseman, California, this thing next to Edwards Air Force Base. If you happen to Google map the damn thing, look at the territory. Then look at the Antelope Valley. It scares me that we're going to be getting into it. I don't know how, don't know when. I don't know anything else beyond it. I got a gut. It scares me. We're allowing ourselves to be torn apart left and right, and we don't even have a clue to identify it. And if we did, what are we going to do about it? We are so damn confused about it. There's things are simple, but are they? In our clouded judgment and our clouded feelings towards each other at this point over here, including our own viewpoints and everything else getting mixed into the damn junk, we are having issues reconciling what images should have been that we had lived under, the fallacies, the fantasies, the projections, whatever it was, compared to the reality that we've got in front of us right now that we're dealing with here. We want pie in the sky, you know what we got? Crap. We have people scrambling for resources. We have people scrambling for lives to be lived. We have people scrambling over the borders trying to find a safe place to live, and they're not finding it here. It was ugly enough that I actually saw some of this racism happening. I mean, I was telling the professor about the 92 riots. I didn't go further into what the stuff we were going into on a constant basis out here, even prior to 92. And he probably already seen it in his own town if he was growing up in there. Because I'd seen it, I heard it. I kept seeing news reports and newspaper yeah, paper, print, and television media on it. And there were no computers back then. There was no social media except for word of mouth and what's ever being printed in the opinion pages. Or maybe other kind of periodicals that were flying around over there I didn't get a chance to take a look at. But I would hear it. I'd hear it in the campuses. I'd see it in the streets. And I experienced it as a kid. So when I saw 92 flaring up, and I saw the riots happening, the beating was back in November of 91, or sometime in that area. No, earlier than that. And the trial went all the way through 92, or in 92, and we're seeing the results of that. I was also telling the professor about my experience over at the museum, or at the Simon Wiesenthal Museum of Tolerance. We had actually out here in the Hollywood area. And I saw the riots again. I was telling you, I almost threw up in it. If I had food in my guts, I probably would. But I do remember crying my ass on that one. I was visibly shaken on this one. It's not understanding to get into context. I already had the context. I had to put it into perspective. And that was the thing that got my attention. Get older, you see some of the things happening around you, and sometimes you just want to avoid it like the plague because you just don't want to get into it with your neighbors. You don't want to yell about it. You don't want to scream about what they're doing, what they're saying is what is wrong according to the one particular viewpoint that you share inside this damn skull of yours. Or mine anyway. So I have to keep the trap shut in order to keep the peace. Now the thing I hadn't told the professor about, and I should have, I still had a friend over here in this. I have a few acquaintances, one pissed off neighbor that still hates my guts. We still can't communicate with each other. He's still an asshole. And yes, he's black. But I also have another black friend who I've met at the same time I met this asshole. And I love their family. They are cool, decent people. And religious. They hold on to their faith. As well as they should. And they know. The guy I talk to knows a lot more, and he's experiencing a lot more, and he's having a field day with it. And I miss that guy sometimes because I don't see him enough. He's working his ass off trying to take care of his family, but when we do, we talk. In private is one thing, but out in public, some things just not out there in public. I mean, the closed walls, safety, but we talk about it. And I miss that guy. I do. But we talk when we can, and it's a good thing. He still wants to get me into D&D again. Dungeons and Dragons. I told him I played a long time ago as a kid, but these days, I'm not much of a people person. Or groups, groups of people anyway. Things have changed in my life. I grieve too much. I mourn too much. I isolate too much. And sometimes it's getting harder and harder for me to deal with even the groups at school. I can do the individual work. I can struggle like crazy on it, but when it comes down for groups, I suck. So I just don't associate it as much. That's why I did the Diary of the Grieving named John Weaver. Talk about things like this. Put it on record. I have to. Try to keep my sanity going. I see neighbors getting along with the neighbors outside. But do you think one will be knocking on my door just to see how I'm doing? No, they don't even know or care. Not that I put out a flag out there saying, look guys, I need company. You want to come over and see a bug-infested place? Bug war, I deal with the cockroaches on a constant basis. Roach-infested complex. What else can we say? Getting back to what the politics are these days. Well, most of dealing with cockroaches are a lot easier to deal with instead of the politicians and all those other con men out there and the grifters out there, the people that keep voting into office. There have been times I've been mouthing off in my videos concerning about I blame the people, and I still do because they got suckered into this damn shit. Democracy, yeah, is a wonderful thing, a representative democracy. And the only problem is, who's the right guy to deal with, and do you think you're listening to a guy who's actually telling you the truth, or he's giving you the snake oil, which is usually filled with piss. Not vinegar, piss, because he pissed in it. Expects you to be drinking a magical elixir that's going to be solving your problems. No, not until your gut starts throwing up and then you realize you got suckered into the damn thing. But the people haven't gotten into that point yet. I'm going to be using this thing as a metaphor, not physical. But still, we're dealing with that level, aren't we? I like to tell their professor about that one. I understand something of politics because I'd taken a few classes of political science trying to understand more and more how the world is working, even as an old fart stage. Well, 57. For some people say it's young, and for me, I'm still an old fart. If I see gray hairs, I know I'm an old fart. I'm no spring chicken anymore. My body's deteriorating. I got the diabetes kicking in left and right. So, I know I'm screwed. But how do I see it, and how do I explain it to the people out there, regards what's going on? We can't get along with each other. We want to kill each other. We have to kill each other because we're programmed to do so. Is there anything else we want to do? Yeah, kill the other guy. Why? Because we're told to. We got one guy trying to command everybody else and trying to tell him, you got to think and be my way. You got to do this. I'm in front of you. I am protecting you. You got to support me. This is the same asshole going through a lawsuit right now in New York, who's also got other lawsuits happening on his ass, who's also indictments left and right. His years of grifting, his family's years of grifting are coming down or crashing upon him. They got a fraud case happening even as we speak. The asshole comes in for about 3 days just to rattle everybody else and leaves out there and laughs his ass off. But now he's got a gag order on him. That's what happens when you piss off the justice system. Even for a rich old fat guy, for a white guy, you can still piss him off. He's not getting off that damn easy. And it's not going to be that damn easy. Not for this asshole anyway. So how are we going to be dealing with something like this on our watch? How are we supposed to be dealing with this on our watch? We're supposed to be a representative democracy. We're supposed to be truth, justice, and God knows what else we got to believe in. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Not to mention having a life of maybe, I don't know, say, the great American stew. A long time, this image, this thing had been taught to us students and young kids concerning about the great American melting pot. We're supposed to be this wonderful country to come to. Dynamics and flavors would bring this stew, this flavor of America, to life. And we're going to be using a cooking metaphor here. But the thing of it is that would make us American is the sauce itself that holds us together. You know, too much of the damn flavoring of the sauce, and we can't even taste the individual units of the damn thing to make it going. You ever had that beef stew? I'm not talking about out of can. It's the stuff that you make out of. Whatever kind of ingredients you use, whatever kind of spicings that you use regarding either the meat flavoring or the broth itself, and then you're adding the whatever kind of stuff you add to your beef stew. You're going to be asking me? Oh, shit. I had mid beef stew. Poured out of a can, but a long time ago, my brother and my mother used to make it like crazy. Get your meat. Chuck roast would work, or chuck steak. Get it browned. Don't have it marinated. I know where I have it marinated. And you throw it into a big pot. And then you have bouillon or gravy or whatever. Start to sauce up. Water usually for the bases. Then you got to add the seasonings to the damn thing. Salt, pepper, garlic, onion. Sometimes onion powder. But then also you add extra onion to it. Carrots, potatoes. Potatoes you would have to have peeled, or you just want to deal with the skin itself. Just chop it up into pieces and throw it in there. Simmer for about a couple hours. Everything's got to be simmered. Of course, you can add flour, make a roux, pour it in there. And then, well, no, we'll see what happens. I mean, you can throw it into a slow cooker. That usually works. Or have the pot simmering on the stove for a long while. Till it thickens up. Till you know the meat's already cooked thoroughly enough. And then you taste it. And then you test it. If it's okay, you got food for a while. If not, cook it more longer. But there were supposed to be flavors coming out of the damn thing. You have mixed vegetables and you're like green beans, carrots, potatoes, onions. I've heard people putting tomatoes in there too. Cans of the stuff work. Cans of the vegetable, throw it in there. Of course, you could do cans of potatoes in it, but I prefer the fresh ones myself. And everything has to be cooked, and the potatoes have to simmer until they're nice and tender. And everything's in a process. And in the process, they're trying to meld with each other. And then whatever seasonings you throw in there, that's what you're going to be tasting at this point. So imagine if we're using that particular metaphor for all the cultures in there. Say if you want to add some kind of Mexican seasoning, I suppose you certainly could. Use, what was it? Carnita? Throw carnita instead of beef. Use what they use for fajitas. Of course, if you want to throw in pieces of tortilla in it, that's fine. Of the Mexican era. A little bit of peppers would be nice. Not the hot kind of crap. I'm mild. I prefer red and green myself. Bell peppers work. And let it simmer. Of course, they call it tortilla soup because you put tortillas in a thing. But for a regular American, crackers. Crackers. Saltines work better. Crumble it up, try to thicken up the broth even further. I miss a good stew. I do. I miss all the vibrant flavors in it, and then it's everything homogenized after that. And then it's just down the throat. Of course, if you want to make homemade chili, it's a thing I don't even remember how to make. Except open up the can and shove it into a saucepan. The Great American Melting Pot was supposed to be the stew. Could have made a chicken. Then you put chicken broth in the thing. And still throw everything else in it. As beef, you do beef broth. If you want to do pork, I don't know. You use beef, I guess. Want to do fish? That's your choice. I don't know anything beyond that. But there you got it. And some people can't stand it because their pieces are not blatant and apparent and more dynamic and more attention getting. Because that's where we're getting more and more into. We don't have anything homogenized. Everything has to be unique flavor now. But some people want more emphasis on their own flavoring, on their own spicing, on their own emphasis. They want. Now, I'm not talking about putting everything into a puree and just eating it that way. Unless I'm really going to be being sick to my stomach. I mean, I like to taste the crunchiness, the textures of this stuff as it's going down. But puree? Ugh, forget it. That's homogenized, that's Borg, that's assimilated. But no. America was supposed to be this great American experiment that we could try doing and utilizing democracy as our government basis. Representative democracy. We vote for electors. Electors would choose the guys, and they'd put our guys installed into Congress, and not to mention for the presidency of the United States. And the vice president. And they're supposed to, executive branch makes recommendations for Supreme Court judges. Legislative does the laws and the purse. They control the purse strings on that, the money. And the judicial branch, as I explained before, does the administration of the law, what they interpret, what the laws are compared to the Constitution, and both in spirit and in letter. Grand experiment. And now we're having issues with it. Now we're going to be going over war with it. People want to change things. Well, they got a right to change things, that's for damn sure. But the problem is we got something against insurrection. It's called being a traitor to the flag. It's called traitor to the Constitution. Their version of the Constitution is different than what the Constitution is. Some people want to install religion into public education, and we're saying no because that's against the Constitution of the United States. That was put in there in the first place. We do not want religion controlling our education. We've seen how that worked. And that's not going to work. That's not going to be useful to us. I wish I had gone through college and through several degrees in my lifetime, but I didn't. I went to the College of Hard Knocks. I went to the College of Hard Work. Observing, watching, learning a lot of stuff happening around me. Paying attention to the news as much as I could. Politics and everything else, not to mention climate changes, science. Read, you listen. I tried to pay attention. Try to absorb all this stuff. I'm surprised my brain hasn't exploded yet. I'm not a guru. I'm not an expert in anything. I'm not even good at when it comes down for accounting, but I try to keep the books balanced. At least I keep a roof over the head. It was one of the things my mother was trying to teach me a long time ago. You got to stay under her roof, you got to pay it. Which means whatever kind of money you got in, you're going to be paying for the rent. Or at least part of it anyway. I had to learn to work my ass off. Keep going to different jobs left and right. I get terminated from one job or fired from one job. Go to the other one. Go to the other one. Go, 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 go. Food had to be put on the table. Bills had to be paid. Primarily, the rent had to be done. Anything else? Superfluous. If there's any extras, maybe you're lucky. That's why I have to keep living over here in that kind of situation. Survival. Not easy, but it's doable. I wish I could explain that one to the professor. I've been watching some of the headlines on the other computer screen of things happening. There's still some talk in the GOP or in the Trumplican era that they want their God to be speaker. Oh. Let me finish off with this one here. Constitution never did say or did specify if an outsider can be a speaker of the House of Representatives. Nothing. The House will elect their own speaker. There was always assumption that it was going to be inside. But there had been talk of outsiders going to be ruling the House of Representatives. The Senate would have a field day over the damn thing. But it's the House of Representatives that they're saying it. And there had been certain rules out there I came across that kept saying that this is not precedent. It isn't. It isn't. What we've got right now is outsiders trying to contort and conform, mutilate, destroy what was America's democracy. Right now, we don't even understand it, identify it. We can't even figure it out because we still can't even figure out what the hell we're doing. And the choice is, or actually the question is, do we want to? It scares the hell out of me what we're getting ourselves into. A con man who has wormed his way to the White House, wormed his way into a lot of into representatives, and right now we don't know what the hell's going on anymore. I'm worried. I'm worried what the next 2 years are going to be like. We have elections coming up in the 24, and then 25 is where it starts. 2024 and 2025. Let me make that correction. How are we going to deal with this? I wish to God I knew. I'm at a loss. And it makes me scared about the people that we've got currently in office right now don't want democracy happening except under their particular version of the damn thing. But here's the thing about democracy. It's not just one point of view. It's many points of view clashing. It always has to be a majority versus the minority. But The minority still gets their say to the majority to let them know. But when we get the minority controlling the majority at this point over here and saying that they know better and they will be obeyed, otherwise all hell breaks loose. Well, guess what we've got? It's no wonder some days I just want to sleep away the whole life and see what the hell happens afterwards. But maybe somewhere in a chain of events that maybe I'm supposed to be awake and doing something. What? I don't know. But recording, saying, observing, moving from observer into participant. Now my stomach's doing the flip-flops. Yeah, flip-flops.